Alright guys, so we have our oil priming system set up. We just have to double check that it does work properly. From the looks of it, it does, but we're probably gonna tighten down these hose clamps just to be 100% sure. But we have it set up to a fitting, to a rubber hose, and then to this pump that we bought at AutoZone. We'll try to get the part numbers in here shortly, but that's how we're gonna do it. We might try to pump this whole bottle in just to make sure everything's properly oiled up, and then afterwards we'll add the rest of the oil, because we got all our fluids right here that we're gonna be running on the car. So we're gonna be at this for a minute and then we'll be back.
Alright guys, it's the next day from the last clip. We got the LS primed, and then we got our oil somewhat aligned. We got our oil drain line in, and now what's next is that I'm gonna start putting in our front brackets. So right now I got the ICT billet power steering pump bracket in, and then we'll go from there. Alright guys, I'm gonna try to show how to install the alternator pump bracket, because there's literally 0 videos on YouTube on how to do it. This one wasn't too hard. I'll see if I end up taking it off, because I might to show you how to install it, because it's fucking the tool that we use to install the pulley fucking strips. So as you can see, the shit's a little sideways, so, and it's not even flush with right here, so we gotta install it again or find a new tool. But first you start with your bracket, the one that has obviously the dished areas for the dished bolts, and then you run your there's only 3 of these little spacers, and you put it into the head like this, and then from there you run these down, and I'll show you what to do next. Alright guys, then you put this bracket in, the one that says ICT. You obviously face it where it's even-ish, and then you put these bolts in. You put it with these thick spacers, and you leave a little room so you could put in your alternator, which I'm pretty sure the bolts will go in this one and then in this one, and then from there we'll work at the tensioner. Alright guys, after you put this bowl on top for your alternator, like I said, the washer, run that through, and then down here on your alternator you run another one the same way, washer, medium-sized washer. You run those down, and then next you're gonna put your tensioner, which goes right here. Your pulley, which goes right here, and then your tensioner. And then here's how the pulley goes. The pulley is this long bolt. I don't know the sizes of the bolts because we don't have the instructions, so I'm just going based off what I remember. But you got you first got the bolt, and then your nut, and then you get your pulley, and then you get this like a little hat. You put that in here. Hard to do one-handed. There you go, you heard it snap, you put that in there, and then you put this other long washer like this. You put it in the bracket, long washer, and then run it down. So I'll show you guys when it's in. Alright guys, and there you go. I got the tensioner on. You see the bolt, the washer, and then the top hat's in here. You put the long spacer, put your bolt in, run it in. Keep in mind all these front ones are 13 mils, and then the T is either a T50 or a T40. I can't remember. It was a T40. T40, the T's in here. Same thing for the bracket over here. So next I'm gonna put on the tensioner and show you guys how that goes on. Alright guys, so here's the tensioner. We got another long bolt in there. We got a washer, and then after the washers, our long washer, and then our bolt. There you go. You're gonna run it in through there, in through here, and then I'll show you guys how that's done. Alright guys, there's your tensioner. So you got your tensioner, and you got your bolt, your washer. You put it on the bracket. You should feel it click into place. See? I don't have it tight, I just have a hand tight right now, but you'll feel it click into place. It should be somewhere around right there. And then you got your thick washer, run that in, and then this is I'm pretty sure 15 mil. It's not 13 mil like the rest, but I'll just run it down, and then all you need to do is you need to take off your belt or put it on. Is put in the 3/8 ratchet or wrench, whatever the fuck you want to call it. We'll say ratchet, and obviously put tension on it. And there you have it. Your ICT billet alternator bracket should be in. As you can see, 3/8 ratchet. You put tension on that tensioner. So next, what I gotta figure out is how to either I gotta go rent power steering pulley installer from AutoZone or something, or figure out how I could re-thread that installer tool, and then put the exhaust on, because the exhaust is also hitting on the K-member right there. I was trying to dent it up in the morning, but I got frustrated and just stopped. But I think I'm gonna try to figure out that the puller situation first, and then the exhaust, just bang it up, try to see if I can get it mocked up in there, and then get it in there for the final time. All right, guys, I got the downpipe on. It was not hard. I had to give it a few love taps down here. I don't know if you can see right there. I had to give it a few love taps, but it's fine. Just wanted to make sure that these surfaces met up perfectly. And I got that V-band in there. Now next what I'm gonna do is install the sensor for right here for the boost. I'm pretty sure it's the AFR, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, as you can see, I did end up getting that pulley on. I just had to run that bitch in with the crooked ass with the fucked up ass installer, but it worked. Got the belt on. What's next is to fix these power steering lines, because they are a fucking bitch to put in. I got the bottom one in, but the top one's barely in. I gotta run it in. And then from there, I think I'll probably figure out this radiator situation, and then this wiring, clean it up, and then get ready for this first start. All right, guys, I got the radiator in with the fan, and then the coolant lines in. It's starting to look cleaner, but not even for the first time, we're not even gonna have it dirty. We're gonna try to clean up the wiring, make it look better, and then now we're gonna start putting on the cold side of the turbo piping. All right, guys, fast forward a few hours, and we got most of the cold side in. Got our coolant temp sensor, got our drive shaft in, we got oil in. All we need now is the brake fluid, power steering fluid, and then the trans fluid and coolant, and then we should be able to prime it. Make sure the feed line is getting oil. From there, plug it back in, and then let's see all she wrote. All right, guys, we got the car pretty much ready to start. We got our feed in a bottle, and we're gonna crank it over, see if it even cranks, because we think the battery might be dead, and then see if we get oil on this end. So I'm gonna have my brother record that. All right, guys, we got it in the bottle, so go ahead.
There?
Yeah. Wait.
It's okay, it's okay.
Go ahead. Alright. Yeah. Alright, guys, I'm gonna plug it back in. Alright, guys, after fixing a small fuel leak, I think we're ready for the first start. Go.
Yeah?
Yeah. Alright, guys, as you saw last night, the first start went good. The only thing was that we did have a small fuel pressure leak. Fuel leak, because at the fuel pressure regulator, I didn't make the fitting tight and it was leaking. But other than that, it went smooth. It appeared to be no leaks. I think that was just a leak at the power steering pump, but that was because my brother overfilled that bitch. But it released its own liquid, and we wanted to put enough so we can pump in through those dry lines. And then what's next, from what I can see, is that I'm gonna go ahead and swap out those Snake Eater Performance 1500cc injectors, and then put in my Deca 80s in, because those 1500s are pumping way too much fuel in for right now. And the car is tuned for those Deca 80s, so I understand why it would be running rich. The air to fuel ratio gauge was at, I think 10 to 1 or maxed out at sometimes. But I'm gonna swap those out real quick, shouldn't be too hard, and fire it up. Alright guys, the Decas are in there. As you can see, no more SCP logo, Deca. And time to just test for leaks real quick. I'll crank it over like 2 times, come back, check for leaks, and there's nothing, then we'll be ready for a start. And it should run way better because this car is tuned, the computer is tuned on these injectors, not on the ACP 1500 cc's.
Alright guys, so after my little brother swapped out the injectors, we're gonna crank it up to see if it starts. Before we do that, we're gonna prime the fuel pumps to make sure we have fuel pressure. So as you can see, do it again. It goes to 40 and then it drops down. I mean, it goes to 60 plus and then it drops down to 40 plus, which is fine. He's making sure it's in neutral and he's gonna go ahead and crank it up. Yeah, you're good. Still, but that's better than running lean. Our oil pressure gauge is a little bit messed up, and same thing with our temp gauge, but it's not too bad.
Alright guys, about a day or two after that clip, I think next day, all we've done from then is just clean up little wires like that over here, and everything, and we've tried to take the car on a spin. Oh yeah, but we obviously bled the brakes because we need to do that too. Bled the brakes, but we've tried to take the car on a spin earlier today, and even though it was 70 degrees, the car still got up to 212 just idling. But we filled up the radiator with a lot of coolant, burped the system a little bit, and right now we also put the turbo blanket on because I remember that helped last time. So right now all we're gonna do is fire it up, turn on the fan, and pray to God it doesn't heat up too much because it is a little cooler now because it's later in the day. And we're gonna see if we take it around the block for a spin. Alright guys, as you may have seen in the previous clip, we did end up going on the first drive, and it did end up doing good. I think the hottest it got was 196, but that was in the driveway. Cruising, I think the hottest was like 180. We were cruising on like 45. But today's the next day. Everything seems to be good.
We did order the fan.
We ordered our next pusher fan because we only have one, but we ordered another one. And then right now we're just gonna go to the car wash and give the car a little wash. Give it its first car wash. Well, for us, it's first car wash at a real car wash, and see how it goes, see if it makes it there, see how it sounds, everything. Alright guys, a few days later after those clips of us driving and all that stuff, car seems fine. It's just that the car seems to be overheating. And the other day this hose kind of came loose and just sprayed cooling all over the frame rail and the cold side piping. But we tying these down a little more. We don't want to tie them too tight either because this radiator is aluminum. So we did that. We found the reason of our overheating a little bit. What helped us was that we filled the radiator up from right here, and we would squish our upper radiator hose pipe and bring all the bubbles out and fill it up until it got full without no air bubbles in it. And right now what we're gonna do is install our new pusher fan. It might look like the same one as the last one, and it is because we're running dual ones. So what we're doing right here is running this one to the inside of the switch as well, and we're running 2 inline fuses now, 2 inline 30 amp fuses, and just got the zip ties from the parts store. But what we're gonna do right now is just cut out the zip ties for the one that we have in there right now, move it over a little bit so both fit on the radiator, and go from there on the wiring. All right, guys, we got the fans in. We jerry-rigged it for now. That's why I didn't show it too much. But there is just one hanging off on each side. But they do work. So go in. And just so you know, if you're going to do this, you're going to need two inline fuses mounted to a constant power source. But I'll show you guys that better in the morning. But here they are working both. Yeah. They're both spinning. Alright guys, so the way I ended up wiring the fans was I put them on the radiator. Oh shit, there's a bee. I put them on the radiator, and when me and my brother put them on the radiators, obviously you can see that this fucking bee's about to get blicked. Yeah, obviously you can see that one of them. Obviously you can see that one of the little tags where the clips go is hanging off on each side. There's one on here too, hanging off on this side. So we only have 3 and 3 on each side. But that was the only way that we were truly gonna make it work with our radiator. Either 3 and 3 or 2 and 2. But we found a way to make 3 and 3 work. And then we got a wire. These are the stock wires. And then we just extended it with this 10 gauge wire up here to the ground. We got it ugly for now because I don't have any loom, but I'll loom it as soon as I get some. And then got it to a little connector, obviously connected to the ground. And then over here I had a flat connector because I thought I had enough wire to run the wire all the way into the car, into the switch. But I ended up realizing that I didn't, so I spliced into the wire that does go all the way into the car from the original fan. Spliced right here and made it work. Now I'm gonna just have to put loom all over right here. And inside the car, it all just comes back to the switch, and then I have the inline fuse connected to the constant power, which is that connector right down there. That connector down there is for the was originally for the cigarette lighter, but we don't have one, as you can fucking tell. So we just have 2 inline fuses running off of that constant power source to the back of this switch. And then this red wire was the one that I showed you that was in the engine bay for the 2 fans. Well, it's one wire, but it's for the 2 fans. The red one that's spliced. And I'm gonna see if they even work right now. But yeah, they should. Oh. I guess not. I probably killed the fucking battery. Hold on. Try to see the key helps. I hear they should work. You'll hear them kick on. Oh. Like if something happened, I'm gonna have to go back, look, and see what could have caused them not to fucking work anymore. Alright guys, it's been a few days since we last recorded, to be honest, but the only updates on the car has been that we've been putting more and more miles on it. And we've had to fix little leaks here and there. Right now the oil pan is leaking, but we just need to torque it down, because when we were looking for that ground for the starter, we had to remove some of the oil pan bolts. And we also did end up picking up some new headlights. We also did end up picking up some new headlights. As you can see, these are trashed. They're not even matching headlights, so we're gonna be replacing those here shortly. And then right now what we're chasing is an issue on why the blinkers wouldn't flash. Before we had an issue where the headlights weren't working, but our issue ended up being at the start of the source where you should have checked the battery terminals were too loose. But what we're gonna do is figure out why the directionals aren't working. And then we also did end up picking up a water temp gauge from glow shit. It's gonna go right into the head, right where? Right here. But we need a fitting for it to work, because how it is right now, it won't work. And that fitting will help us make it fit into the head because it's too small right now. But from there, we're gonna do that, check that, fix all the issues here and there, and then get these miles going in, and clean up some of the wiring as well, because we didn't have loom, but we got all the wiring loom cleaned up. All right, guys, as you can see here, the new headlights. Shout out to my dad. And we did end up figuring out our turn signal issue. It did end up being the bulbs, along with the flasher that's inside the car. If you do end up looking for your flasher, just say you're looking at it right here. Here's the steering column. It's gonna be to the right, up here around this general area. You'll see it's like a little clip. I'll put the link to the video that I used in the description. But right now, what we're gonna do is install these headlights, see how they look. They should look better than those junk ones we had. And then my brother's gonna order some LEDs off of Amazon, so we don't have to run the yellow ones anymore. But we'll see how they look. Alright guys, here's a few days later. We got the headlights in with just zip ties because all the brackets are fucked up. But one thing that we did notice was that our passenger turn signal did go out, even though we tested it right before we installed it into the actual housing. But we'll try to figure out that here later. Right now what I'm doing is doing this right here for the water temp sensor, because we're not getting a reading on the on the speedo. So we decided to opt out by one of these sensors from Glow Shift. But from how they come from the actual store, they come with this fitting, which is a 1/8 inch, which is way too small for LS heads. These are 317, so they're truck heads, and we had to find an adapter at our local O'Reilly's. As you can see, it's an M12 by 1.5 to 1/8 inch by 27 MPT, and it fit right into that head. I'm just getting a little tight right now. Here's the old coolant temp sensor, but that adapter will only work for the truck heads. I've seen that truck heads and Camaro heads, coolant temp sensors are way different sizes. So you could probably get the same one that I got. I'll throw the part number on the screen, or I'll take a video of it when I can. But from here, we're gonna get that gauge wired in inside and run the wires to out here and see if it works or not. All right guys, it's about time to install the gauge now, the wiring. I got the cluster a little down, and I got the gauge right here. As you can see, glow shift, water temp. Got the harness over here. Here, this is the harness with the extended power wires. So this black one's gonna run directly to that sensor, and this green one's gonna run directly to the sensor. This black one is obviously gonna go to the black wire on the sensor, and this green one's gonna go to the white one on the sensor. And then the main power would be the orange. Pretty sure the ignition power is the red, and then the headlights is the yellow, if I'm not mistaken. And in the black, the short black one, is obviously an in-cabin ground. As you can see, both grounds come off of one wire, so I'm pretty sure you won't have to ground that. And I'm gonna just ground it to the wire that's behind this panel. It's like right there, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a panel. I'm gonna ground it to there. And then get all the headlight power and the constant 12 volt from the fuse panel right here. right here. So I'll show you guys when it's wired up, and then we'll get it fired up and see if it works. All right, guys. So I got the gauge in. Well, me and my dad got the gauge in, and I'll explain the wiring in a little bit. But we had a major fail because when we were working on it, we obviously put the sensor right here. We put it with the adapter and everything, and had no coolant temp sensor plugged in. And I didn't know. Well, none of us knew, but when you don't have a coolant temp sensor plugged in, it really messes with your BCM and whatever the hell in your computer. So we had to plug it back in and relocate the gauge sensor. But the coolant temp sensor is in its original location, and I put the one for the gauge over here. So that means that coolant temp sensor is working and everything, and is working with the computer. But for some reason, it's causing us to not get a reading on the cluster. And my thinking is because of the stock wiring for the fans that it originally has. But we'll figure it out. For now, that gauge is fine. But just so you know, if you do a gauge, keep your coolant temp sensor plugged in, and put the one for the gauge on the other side. Because if not, your car's gonna think it's hella fucking cold outside. On our new gauge, it was reading that it was at temps of 170, and on the OBD2 scanner, it said that it was negative 39. So I'm gonna start it right now. It's the first time starting after switching the gauges over, and see if it runs fine, smooth idle and everything. Because before, it was idling like ass. It was idling at low RPMs. It was revving by itself. When I would rev it, it would stay stuck like at 2,000 RPMs. I'll insert a clip if I have it. But we're gonna start right now and see what happens.
All right, guys. So a few days later, and the car's running fine now. We ended up moving the area where the gauge gets its reading from to the passenger side head on the back, and then we plugged in our original location for the coolant temp sensor. But another issue arose. We burned the pressure line to the power steering earlier today, and it leaked out all the fluid. So we had to go buy another one. And from the looks of it, this is the one that we need. Let me see the part number. And that's the part number right there. That should be the hose that we need. That's the one I found online for a 98 Camaro. Just because we're technically running a 98 setup, just because I think it's not so 99. They run the fucking this radiator hose, the top radiator hose with the power steering cooler. So we don't have that obviously. So I figured maybe it might be a difference, but we're gonna work on it right now and see whether it works or not.
All right, guys. So as you can see, this is the old line. It did end up messing the line up, burning it up. You can see it's brittle right there, and then a big slash right there. And then this is the new one. You can see they're the same hose. Just this one was bent a little just to make it fit because of the white pipe. It is hard to fit. But for now, this is a quick fix. But eventually in the future, we are going to be going into the AN lines. Those are way better routing. Get those out the way. But for now, this will work just to get the car back on the road and go from there. But I'll show you guys. We'll show you guys when it's installed. And if you're wondering, the little end is a 16 mil. And the big end over here is an 18 mil. Don't use an adjustable because it won't work as good. And there's bigger, and there's also O-rings that go on the end. All right, guys. I don't know if I showed you guys in the previous clip or when I put the clip in, but the car does have a little bit of a lifter tick, or just some noise in the drivetrain. But what we're gonna do is take off these valve covers and look at our suspects, which are on this side, and spray them with a liquid. I'll show you guys the liquid here in a little bit once we get the valve covers off, but we'll get those off. Spray each lifter, check out the push rods, torque everything down again, and put in some seafoam and see if all that helps.
All right, guys, so we went ahead and removed the valve cover. Everything looks fine in here. There might be some rock arms that aren't straight, but you know, everything looks fine to us. So right now we're gonna go ahead and remove everything and double check things such as our training upgrade to make sure that's all in order, and then we're gonna clean out the push rods and then clean out the lifters before we put in our seafoam, because the last thing we want to do is fucking drop the heads and all that shit. So we're gonna try to do the easy stuff first before we do the hard stuff.
Alright guys, let me clean my camera. Alright guys, after looking at the lifters, everything seems fine. Let me see if I can shine the light in there. Let me see, let me set it up. You can kind of see them, but they all look pretty fine. They all look pretty fine. What we're gonna do now is clean out the push rods and then put them back in, lubricate them up, and then spray this fluid over here into the push rods so it goes directly into the lifters. We found on some video on YouTube that this liquid really works in cleaning anything truly, but in cleaning the lifters, it helped the guy fix his lifter tick. So we're gonna do that and then put about 7 ounces of seafoam into the oil, into the crankcase, and go from there. All right guys, here are the push rods. As you can see on the bottom, on the lifter end of everything, they all look fine. They all look to have even wear. But on the push rod side is where our issue is. As you can see, they're like kind of like unevenly warped, which is the same issue we had with the 7/400 length. But for now, we're just gonna put them back in. Maybe that's what was causing our tick, but truly we won't know until we get these put back in, get these lubed, and spray this liquid in there. And
so at least to me, it didn't really sound like a tick. It sounded more like valve train moving. I don't know if it like makes sense, but watch this. It sounded like these ones, like just like, you know what I mean, like just like these moving, like this noise. Like not as fucking loud, but like it sounded like that, just mechanical parts moving, if that makes sense. Like I don't know how to explain it, but it's, if you hear mechanical parts moving, that's what it sounded like. It just sounded way too much like it, you know what I mean? More than I was liking. So it might not necessarily be lifter tick, but this is just a precaution we're gonna take. Like I said, these do have training upgrades, so I don't know if with the training upgrade it's just a little bit, you know, noisier valve train. But I feel like there's a lot of factors. I think what we might end up doing in the future is probably getting different rocker arms. We did have a set of good rocker arms, but we gave them to a friend when he bought our 243s. So, you know, that's out of the question. So later down the line, we'll probably do that. But like I said, these all have the training upgrade. So it might be the fact that the training upgrade is in here and it's not fully broken in. This setup only has like 50 miles on it right now. And pretty much the whole valve train only has 50 miles on it now. You know, these are brand new. Training upgrades brand new, lifters are brand new, you know. So it's a untested setup right now, at least for us. So we're gonna try to figure it out. All right, so this is the cleaner that the guy on YouTube did from another video that he watched about lifter tick on a 530 Silverado or whatever. He said this one works really good, this specific brand of a carburetor and toe cleaner. So we're gonna use this to pretty much use the push rods as guys, just to spray the fuck out of the lifters. We're gonna do that, and hopefully that helps us out along with the fucking the seafoam. Hopefully that's good, you know, because I really don't want to tear these heads off.
Now just do that to the rest of your push rods, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys. After torquing them all down, some do move a little, like this one. But it's nothing too dramatic. Everything else is torqued down, 22 foot-pounds. And then next what we're gonna do is pop everything back in, hop on the other side real quick, and see how it goes.
We couldn't torque it down the proper way. I think the proper way on the LS is having the valves at top dead center, or I believe not top dead center, where it might be actually, where there's no pressure on the thing. So like you see, this one has pressure. Technically, you're not supposed to torque that one. But as you can see, there's no fucking way of putting a socket and a wrench right there. You know, yeah, you might say, oh, the turbo blanket, but trust me, you can't do it. So we're just gonna do it like this and fucking send it.
All right, guys. Like about an hour later, we have everything in. We got the liquid in the lifters. Now we're gonna pour the seafoam in. It's you're supposed to pour an ounce per how many quarts of oil you have, and right now I have 7. So So we're gonna pour about half the bottle because the bottle's 16 ounces. So we're just gonna guesstimate and then start it for a little bit because it is late, and then see if it worked.
All right, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and start it now and see how it sounds. It's idling high. We're gonna check what's up.
Alright guys, you may be wondering why I have a set of rockers right here and 2 junkyard 6.0s over there. We'll talk about those junkyard 6.0s later, but here's the car. Since we did that lifter thing, the lifters have not quieted down. We've driven around with the seafoam, have not quieted down. And now we're starting to point fingers. Well, my brother is starting to point fingers at the rocker arms because of the training upgrade. You've seen that sometimes the training upgrades can get noisy. So what we're gonna do right now is just a quick fix, if it works, is replace the training upgrade ones with the pair of stock rocker arms. They're pretty clean. I'm gonna just hit them with some brake clean. But we're gonna do that. I'm gonna take both sides apart, and from there I'm gonna inspect them and see if maybe one has a little too much of wiggling room or something, because there's certain things that you can look out for, and if you see, then you know it's your rocker arms.